If you want to write a picture book, you need to speak the language. So let's talk about the difference between a page count versus a page spread. Hi, my name is Charisma Antoinette, your new favorite children's book author and librarian. And this is the Author's Heartbeat, the place where writers go to find clarity, confidence, and community, because no one should have to walk this author's journey by themselves. And in this video, we're going to talk about a key word that everyone should know if you're trying to write a picture book, which is the difference between a page count versus a page spread. Knowing the difference between a page count and a page spread is going to be instrumental along your journey of writing a picture book, because it's going to help you understand how you should be pacing your story with keeping your reader in mind and also keeping it within standard of the traditional publishing industry. And so making sure that you are writing your book that is not only meeting the typical page count and spread count, but also the word limit, but it's also engaging through the way you're telling the story. So let's just run with the average of 32 pages. Typically, that would mean you have 32 pages to convey your idea. Most picture books don't have more than just a sentence on a page. So altogether, that's about 32 sentences at minimum that you're using to tell your story, right? And thinking about that, not including dialogue. So if you add a dialogue in, that may get you like 2 to 3 more sentences, but at minimum, we're at 32 sentences. That's not a lot of room to tell your story. That's why it's so hard. But what makes it even harder is if you're counting it by pages and not by what we actually call it in picture book language, which are spreads. So as you're thinking about writing your picture book, you need to reframe your language when you talk about the pages that you're writing, because you're not writing by normal page count, you're writing by page spread. So what does that look like? I want to use one of my favorite books as an example to explain this concept to you so you can visually see what I'm talking about. So let's dive into the Remember Balloons. So the Remember Balloons is a great book to showcase the difference between a page count versus a page spread. And so in this book, we're going to walk through that so that way you understand that for your own work and your own books. And you also could just get this book yourself because it's also a phenomenal story as well. I would not lead you astray. Remember, I'm your new favorite children's book author and librarian, and this book is a certified great read. So let's dive into it. So this is an example of what I mean. So typically when you think about counting of pages, you're counting it by 1 and 2. That would make this 2 pages. But a spread is both of these pages together. So typically when you're talking about picture books, you're gonna hear the phrase, not just page 1 and page 2, but you're gonna hear the phrase single spread versus a double spread. Essentially what I want you to think about when you hear these two words is that a single spread is conveying one idea on one page, whereas a double spread is 2 pages that are going to convey the same idea. Those 2 pages are working together to convey a whole point, versus a single spread is going to use 1 page to convey that point. So this is a good example of a double spread, where you have the words on one side of the page and an illustration on the other. I'll go through another example as well, because it does not always have to look like this, where it is clearly separated of the words on one side and the illustration on the other, but I think it's a good example for this one. So this is a double spread because, as you can see from the image and the words, they complement each other. The words are describing what's going on in this page. They need each other to convey a complete idea together. Whereas this is another example of a double spread, where again, it's 2 pages together to convey a single idea. And I wanted to showcase this one because, unlike the other one that was clearly separated, this one has illustrations that bleed over from one page to the other. So this is a really clear way to showcase what a double spread will look like. You can have it like the previous example where the images and the words are separated, or you can keep them together and have them be a total double spread as one full image and have it all work together to convey one message. So let's dive into what a single spread will look like, because we've been talking about double spreads a lot. So a single spread is, like I said, 1 page that's showcasing one idea. So here are 2 single spreads. This is a spread and this is a spread. This is not a double spread because these are two different ideas going on these 2 pages. And so if I was conveying this to a publisher or to an illustrator, I would tell them that I need a single spread and a single spread, whereas this is going to be a double spread, just so they know that for illustration purposes and for writing the story. Because what the main character is saying here, yes, it connects as a good story does to what's happening on this page, but it's 2 different pages, 2 different ideas, 2 different things going on. So single spread. And like I told you, this is one of my favorite books to showcase this because there's so many examples of it. So here's another example of 2 single spreads. So this is, again, not a double spread because it's 2 different ideas as a double spread. So this is a page you can read by itself. This is a page you can read by itself. They both connect because it's a narrative story, but you read them as 2 different pages. And the same thing with this one. You read them as 2 different pages. But this one, you read this as 1 page. So honestly, the best way to think about it is if you were to imagine your book being read aloud at a read aloud event for kids. Would the reader have to point at 1 page at a time, or would they just show the overall page as well? Writing your story with the spreads in mind really allows you to make sure your story is being paced out effectively, so that way it's engaging to the reader and it doesn't become boring because you're going too fast or confusing because you're not explaining things enough. Remember, the pages in a picture book are supposed to work together to tell your story. Even though you may have less pages to tell your story, that doesn't mean you can't be impactful in those few pages. So be mindful of how you're pacing the story and be mindful of how you're utilizing your pictures within the book as well. Again, knowing how many spreads you're going to have in your book is going to be really important for you to not only stay within the conventional standards of the publishing industry, but it's also going to make sure that you're using the right language when you're talking to other picture book authors, publishing companies, or even your illustrators to make sure that you are pricing yourself affordably when it comes to getting those illustrations from them, and also pricing your book correctly as well. So keeping all these things in mind is really important so that you come off as a strong picture book author and not someone that's still figuring it out along the way. Post-production Charisma here. I wanted to give you a blank canvas so that way you can understand what it looks like to plan for your book for spreads instead of just page counts. On the screen is a good template for you to adapt in your own writing and your own work so that way you can really see what we're talking about when we talk about page spreads versus page counts. So this example is for like a typical picture book that has about 32 pages, which is a standard. And as you can see how it's broken up for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. That's how you can really visualize figuring out where your words and your pacing in your book will go, depending on if you're doing a single spread versus a double spread. So again, if you just want a blank canvas, a little good template for a standard 32-page picture book, feel free to use this image on the screen to get you started when it comes to planning out where you're going to put your single spreads versus your double spreads in your book.